playing Mario Brothers?
Yeah.
Don't want to go, but the time has come. Got to get back to the gym. I'm wearing ladies' sunglasses, and they may not look good, but I don't care. I'm out of shape. I ate way too much butter in France.
Tendrías que haber empezado por este lado, porque la mejor parte era el centro.
¿Qué es lo que más te gusta del gato basque?
La mantequilla.
It's time to go work out.
Girl, it's mystifying, but if you pardon me for saying, I got an odd new feeling playing on my heart, and it started the moment we met.
Well, today marks the day that my shoe gave out on me. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. Okay, explain what it is.
I ordered a veggie milk maker.
Yeah, veggie milk maker or a nut milk maker?
Veggie, because we can do with oat.
Oatmeal is not really considered a vegetable, I don't think.
It's a vegetable. It grows from the ground. It's not an animal.
But I don't know if we would call that a vegetable. But okay, so
Cereal and nut milk maker.
so the idea is save money.
Yes.
Because we spend a lot of money on almond milk.
Yeah, and we just buy water.
What do you mean we just buy water?
Because only 5% of the milk is almonds. The rest is water.
So
And it costs almost €2.
so basically soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, all of it is just overpriced water.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can make our own flavored water for a fraction of the price.
Yeah, I was calculating with 50 liters, it would compensate already
Okay.
the money with 50 liters
Yeah.
with this machine.
Let's take a look at it here. Oh, look, the cat wants to investigate.
Of course.
So this is it, the Create Vegan Milk Machine. And this thing is really big.
I didn't expect it to be so big. I thought it would fit better in our tiny kitchen. Look.
Yeah, it's got a built-in blender. It's a vegan milk machine, and you can also make hummus in it. Are you happy with your purchase?
Yeah, I'm very happy, but I'm just worried about our kitchen.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I've kept notebooks all my life, and actually I still have my earliest. There's some notebooks that got lost because I moved to a new country on a different continent, and inevitably in the shuffle some things disappeared. This first notebook I bought in a scholastic book fair in my elementary school. It is aesthetically horrific. It says journal on it and it's full of money. Let's see here. I started it on November 4th, 1997. I wrote here the Journal of David William Burnett II. I was a little bit pretentious as a kid. I have here an entry from September 25th, 1998. I hate taking things for granted, yet I do it. And in my aura of ignorance, I have the right to speak against taking things for granted? Who am I? I'm a person that takes things or people for granted. And then I notice it at the last moment. Then comes the agony of having to face the loss, the destruction of what is so deeply craved, yet so neglected. I never seem to learn from these abundant experiences. Why so? Yeah, I did a lot of reading as a kid, and I had a fairly decent vocabulary, but I still had not really figured out when to use those kind of words, and I can see that all over the place with this journal. Fast forward a little bit, my next journal was junior high era, and also extremely pretentious. It was also the period when gel pens became really popular. Most of this is written in silver, bronze, and gold gel ink. This is from the year 2000. Here I start a new journal. This journal will be a journal with a more deeper sense to it. More deeper. As the first journal I wrote was quite shallow and a bore to read, as I become a wiser student of philosophy, I intend to record my views in this book. That may be my own writings or quotes. May I have no remorse about what I should record. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of embarrassing stuff. Like, there's Christina Aguilera stickers because I thought Christina Aguilera was really hot. I won't let Isabel touch these things. These are absolutely embarrassing. A lot of this journal is basically talking about girls that I liked and how I was constantly agonizing over whether or not they liked me. At the very end of this journal, July 9th of 2002, I've written down the lyrics to John Lennon's Imagine, which means that I probably just had discovered John Lennon and the Beatles. It was a super important turning point for my life. The last notebook is the journal from my high school years. I mean, it's got all sorts of stuff in it, like cuttings, pictures of high school girlfriends. And most embarrassingly, it's got really, really bad poetry. I have a theory that literary inclined adolescents all discover Bukowski around the same time and think that he's the greatest writer to have ever stepped foot on this planet. I actually hand transcribed a passage from Bukowski's Ham on Rye. I could see the road ahead of me. I was poor and I was going to stay poor. At the moment, I have to say that we seem to be going that way. I've also got yearbook photographs, notes from girlfriends. Again, one of the cool things that you can do with journals is you can press flowers in them. The big takeaway for me, I was really arrogant and thought that I knew everything there was to know about life. If you didn't keep a notebook, or if you've since lost that notebook, then I guess that's kind of a blessing in a way, because no one can rub your face in it. I don't know. Maybe I'll burn this before I leave this earth.
Memory, come serve me well for a while. Don't you leave me empty-handed. Lay it all out for me just as it was. Everything that time abandoned. Before the rain came down in droves and drove us from our broken homes. Before we ever thought to cry for all we yet to lose. Before we wandered to and fro, shivering.
So I guess the main question is, why bother keeping a journal or a notebook or whatever you want to call it? I have a ton and I don't read them. Because for me, the point is not about reading them after the fact, even though I did that a little bit earlier. A notebook is an idea generation tool. Any idea that comes through your head, you just start to gather those things together, kind of like a compost pile, and eventually something grows out of there. All I know is that in my case, most of the songs I've written started off as some kind of entry in my notebook, some little line that I'd written down, some feeling that I was trying to process. And if you do it regularly, like every day or every couple of days, you start to get to a point where you don't really think anymore. You just let the thoughts flow. You start to look forward to that time every day when you can sit down and get all your thoughts out. Those might be negative thoughts. Those might be aspirations. Those might be talking about your dream. The point is that a notebook can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a diary. In my first years of writing in a notebook, I felt like I had this obligation to write every single thing that happened to me over the course of a day. That's not what it's about. It's about what's going on in here, and it's about what you observe. I'm looking for ideas. I'm looking for ways to grow as a human being. So there's a couple of different approaches to doing that. I think the best one is Natalie Goldberg's, in her book, Writing Down the Bones. Writing Down the Bones is basically a book about how to get past your inner censor and let yourself write. Natalie has 6 rules for what she calls writing practice. Rule number 1, keep your hand moving. Rule number 2, don't cross out. Rule number 3, don't worry about spelling, punctuation, or grammar. Rule number 4, lose control. Rule number 5, don't think, don't get logical. And the final rule here, rule number 6, go for the jugular. Natalie recommends taking a timer and deciding on a period of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour if you're brave enough. And during that time, you don't stop writing. Your hand doesn't stop moving. Even if you don't have anything interesting to say, well, you write that. And eventually, something will come out. And if you do this as a practice, as she recommends, sooner or later, you're going to get past those first surface thoughts that are just basically telling you that you're no good and you don't have anything interesting to say. And eventually, you'll get to the real good stuff, the juicy stuff. The other really useful way of approaching writing in a notebook is Julia Cameron's method, which she outlines in the famous book, The Artist's Way. She talks about something called morning pages, where you get up every morning and the first thing you do before you do anything else is to write 3 pages in your notebook longhand, again, completely uninterrupted. It's not really a time limit, it's an actual amount of pages that you need to write. 3. She says that if you do this every day, it becomes a kind of meditation and you can get into contact with, again, your inner artist and all those creative ideas that you have just waiting to find an outlet. So give one of those a try. You might find that it's life transforming.
Look at that rainbow. I haven't seen a rainbow that nice since I don't know when.
I feel like I'm 5 years old at school in the cafeteria, and they've given me my juice box.
All right, so I got a crazy story to tell you. Last night we played a concert in La Térmica, which is in Ponferrada. Arts Center, I guess would probably be the term in English. And the truth is that it was an absolute disaster because while I appreciate the intention, the actual organization was not really done well. And even though they had a PA system and microphones and all that, they told us that there was no money to hire a sound guy. So we had to play this concert in an auditorium with no amplification, which that's rough on my voice especially. And of course the viola is louder than the guitar and the voice. So it's hard to get that perfect balance. But
there is a silver lining. We sold a couple of CDs. And the big story that I wanted to tell you is that among the audience members in this free concert that we gave was the couple that owns the Airbnb where we're staying. And Susanna, who has been in contact with Isabel, she did a little bit of sleuthing on the internet and discovered that we were playing a concert there in Ponferrada, and without telling us, they showed up. And after the show, they came to say hi, and about 20 minutes later, after we'd parted ways, they sent us a message, and it said, your music was a gift, and we would like to pay you back by offering you a free additional night in the Airbnb that you're staying in. So yeah, we're here for another day, all thanks to the generosity of Martin and Susana. And yeah, so that's the silver lining, and we couldn't be happier about it, because look at this place. I mean, Orellán and Las Médulas is an absolute paradise.
Before the rain came down in droves and drove us from our broken homes, before we ever thought to cry for all we'd yet to lose, before we wandered to and fro, shivered in the bitter cold, we never had it better than before the war. Memory chimed through my mind one more time.
You're looking at the Castillo de Cornatel, which is one of the coolest castles that I've seen in a while. Although I have to be honest and say that I've seen 4 this summer, but you know, you can never see enough castles. This one was owned by a count in the 15th century. After castles stopped being useful, up until fairly recently, people just used it to house their livestock. And then the archaeologists came in here and got rid of about 3 feet of dirt and cleaned it up, and it's a pretty cool place. Any castle worth its salt has one of these. So what you do is you sit right here and you gaze longingly out the window. I just imagine back in the medieval days, the fire going and someone playing the lute.
Your Majesty, I pledge fealty to thee and to all your... Oh, did I say your? Mm-hmm. Man. And to all thy dominions.
That's it.
It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and for the last time I'm going to be able to get up in the morning and look out on that. Tomorrow it's back to crowded city streets, city noises, tourists, and it occurs to me that actually probably the best metaphor or comparison or simile or whatever you want to call it for keeping a notebook is no matter where you are, even if it is in the middle of a city with blaring sirens and construction workers drilling sidewalks, in your notebook you can create a mental space that's just like this. And that is why I keep a notebook. So I can have this anywhere I go.